Thor, welcome. Thanks for sitting down with me.
Thank you.
You have been following the plans to revise the EU seed law. In your opinion, is there really a need to change it?
Yes. Two things. At first, the platform for this legislation we have, it is more than 50 years old. It is made when we had a knowledge on the seed. It was old-fashioned. Today we have another situation, so we need to make a law where we actually use the modern technology, and you make a law what is needed for the future.
Yeah, now those are of course very important reasons to changes. But I also know, following the press releases, that your organization, COPA and COGECA, have issued some concerns. Why was that? Because
when the Commission started to making the review, and we heard what was they doing, which plan did they had? It was only that they want to open up that you could have the heterogeneous materials in it, the organic blended material, and all these things that it could all come under the scope of the seed legislation. Mm-hmm. And it was actually that. It was it. And that's not what we need, because we need to go a lot more further. We have to look at 2030, 2040, what do we need then? Because this legislation, okay, it will be implemented in 2025, but it have to work in the next 20 years or 30. So we need to look at what do we need in 2035, for example. Mm-hmm. And at that time, we don't need what we asked for, what the consumers asked for in 2020. Mm-hmm. The consumer asked for something else. Yep. They ask for a lot more diversity in the market. Is one thing. It is not a problem. But the new thing, it is all the other things we need to deliver, and it is a climate issue, the climate footprint on the seed and mm-hmm. on the plant, what we can use it for, and then of course we need to produce food and feed. Mm-hmm. But the plant when we come to the end of 2030, we need to produce the fibers, and we need to use everything to the industry, what we today get from oil. Mm-hmm. Because in 2050, we don't use oil any longer mm-hmm. To anything in the industry. So mm-hmm. the plant had to replace that. So that's why we need to have a seed law where the farmers can see exactly which plants and which varieties do I need to put into my farm, because I want to deliver my seeds, my crop to this and this and that market.
Mm-hmm. We need to use more the diverse possibilities of plants mm-hmm. to replace the fossil fuel products. Can you give some examples?
The most hot topic at the moment is the grass, that we will have a lot more grass, and we can take the protein out of the grass and replace the soya protein. And then we have the pulp afterwards. It is the fibers of what's left over from the protein production. It is that you have some fibers, very strong fibers. Mm-hmm. And these fibers can be used for everything, for the building industry, for all purposes, making furniture, making whatever it is. And if you take them through some industrial purposes like pyrolysis, then you can make some carbon fibers and you can build cars out of it. So the technology, we have it. So it will come one day mm-hmm. when the market is ready. Yeah. And but when we have the technology, it will never go away. So mm-hmm. it will come one day or another. And then we need to have the seed legislation who's ready to obtain mm-hmm. these things.
Yeah, and we have a huge diversity in the plant species.
Oh, yes.
I know that, hemp and flax mm-hmm. and several other crops can be used for fibers, and they are already replacing the plastics.
They are coming fast, very fast. And we can take a lot of plants and take into it. And it is plants we don't produce today very much in the air, but they will come in and they will be, we will see them in the landscape. But when the farmers have to produce them, we need to know exactly about everything about these plants, what is the yield, which varieties can be used for which purposes, and so on. And it must be an independent variety list, because if we only rely everything on the breeder, we are not used to trust that. Of course, it's not because I don't trust the breeders, but it is a very good things we have had in Europe, that we have an independent test of the variety before we send it on the market. It is then the farmers are reliable, they believe it.
Absolutely. So you are saying there is an absolute need to change the current EU seed regulations. What are some of the key features that you would like to see changed?
Today it is nearly voluntary how you may put in the VCU test in the system. We can see very clear in Europe, these countries who have a very broad VCU test and are very open to the farmers, and they are promoted to the farmers, they have a lot of use of new varieties. And these countries who doesn't do anything, we heard it today, in Italy, they don't have a very good VCU test. The farmers doesn't want it. They don't know what it is. So it must be obligatory to have a VCU test, and a lot more broad VCU tests than we have today in every country. And then it's up to the country to fulfill how much compared to the regions, to the climate, and so on. But we need to have a VCU test, because if the farmers have the new seed available, it is the first step to have a lower climate impact and a very low use of pesticides. So, and we can see that from the last 25 years in Europe. If you have a good VCU test and you show it to the farmers, they use new variety. And then you have this good impact on the production.
We are now in the process of the revision, and I believe the EU Commission is holding several stakeholder consultations. You've been following that. From what you've been seeing, are we going in the right direction?
I think they will come in the right direction. At the moment now, until now, they have been it has been very difficult to understand exactly in which direction they want to go, because of course the first time they proposed something, it was in the wrong direction. But I hope that we will come and help Euroseeds and the farmers can go in the same direction and tell, we want this, we need this. It's very important for the future. And so the Commission need to take a turn and listen to us and go in the right direction. And a good seed law, it will be the best for the Commission too, because they will not have all these problems in the future, because the seed law is the best protection for the farmer, because they can see what they have. And the good seed law will also prevent this issue we have now, that diseases, virus diseases and very bad diseases, they spread in Europe. So it is also one thing that we need a good seed law. And so it will help the Commission if they listen to us.
In the plant health.
In the plant health, but the plant health must be linked to the seed market regulation and seed as well.
Like so explain me one thing, Thor. The farm to fork goals are very ambitious. I don't know any country that would be able to make those farm to fork goals. Do you know anyone who could make that?
Yes, we will do it. Denmark.
Denmark?
Yes, we will do it.
Okay. How are you going to do it?
We don't know yet exactly. But first thing, we have made a vision. We want to be climate neutral in 2050 and 65% in 2030.
Wow.
We know in the theory how we can reach 2030 with the technologies we can see somewhere. And that's why we also need the tools, how farmers can read which tools they have to choose. So we need these certification systems built up, and it can be that the seed have that we know which variety we use, how much CO2 the variety take down, how much is going with the grain, how much with the straw, how much is left over as carbon capture in the soil. Sure. These things, the farmers need to know that, because then he can choose exactly the variety who is the best, and then use a fertilizer who have the lowest climate impact, and use a variety who have a very good fungal resistance, so you don't need to use so much fungicides and so on. And then you have a good yield. And then if you have a climate label on the climate footprint label on every single kilo of wheat, for example, then you have that you can put into the pigs. If you use it for the pigs, you can use it for the bread, you can use it for the beer production. So it is a way that you show the consumers what is climate footprint on the product. And it will come in 2026, 27. Okay. It will begin to spread out in Europe.
Fantastic.
So we need to have the basic, it is a seed.
I'm impressed, Thor, that Denmark is very much on the way to reaching the farm to fork goals.
Oh, yes. There's just made a common agreement at the Danish Parliament, where all the parties it was nearly a consensus. Only one party, one member of the Parliament was not in the consensus, but they have the target. They want to reach the 65% in the climate. They want to reduce the loss of nitrogen, that we come lower than the EU directive. We need to do a lot of things, and especially we have some big challenge with animals, and we can do something to change how we feed the animals. We can do something, but there are some other things in a way that we can actually lower the carbon, especially the CO2 emission or the methane emission. And of course, the biogas will be a main play on that.
Sounds like you make some major steps there.
Oh, yes. But it makes also that all these crops, leftover crops, crop parts, we can use it first for biogas.
Sure.
Afterwards, we can put it to a purlise, and then we can make carbon fibers.
Yeah, absolutely. A great example to be followed.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Thor.
You're welcome.